The Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of his government statements and actions?
Mr Speaker, thank you, Mr Speaker. Yes, absolutely, and in particular I stand by this government's policy of cutting red tape to make it easier for existing supermarket chains to expand and new ones to launch in New Zealand. Grocery prices are a great pain to many New Zealand households, and we need to encourage new investment and competition because those are the things that result in more choices, more efficient supply chains and lower prices for families. When people are driving across the city just to shop at Costco, it shows that people do actually want more choice and that more investment can lead to lower prices. This government is resolutely in favour of attracting investment and innovation so that Kiwis can get a better deal.
Supplementary. Why does he think the economy's recovering when 10,000 jobs were lost in just 3 months of this year between March and June?
Well, Mr Speaker, there is a cycle that New Zealand is going through and it is causing great pain to many New Zealanders. That cycle involves a spike in government spending and inflation, which has been subdued. It then is followed by the interest rates that were required to subdue that inflation, which then in turn have led to a recession because they have limited demand, which is the point of those interest rate increases. What happens subsequent to that is that interest rates fall, people have more money at the end of the week, they spend more, and you see businesses starting to hire again. And as I go around New Zealand, I hear many stories that the better part of that cycle under this government is coming into fruition.
Does he agree with Nicola Willis that people who have lost their jobs shouldn't take it personally?
Mr Speaker, the fact is that people lose their jobs for many different reasons. And sometimes people do feel that it is a sense of personal failing when there are events around them that they could not have controlled. In this case, the event surrounding them was the election of a spendthrift Labor government.
It's recovery. Why did the construction sector experience a $720 million drop in sales in just 3 months from March to June of this year?
Mr Speaker, this is a government that gets out and listens to the people. It's a government that hears the stress that people are facing, and there is no question that construction is under pressure. There's no question about that. However, it is also true that we are moving through an economic cycle which began with a lockdown and a spending blowout, carried on with high interest rates, was followed by a recession and is now seeing a recovery.
Supplementary. Is economist Brad Olson wrong when he says that the ongoing decline in the construction sector represents a new normal? And if he doesn't agree with that, why is the construction sector still declining after nearly 2 years of his leadership?
Mr Speaker, Brad Olson is not always right, and in this case he is absolutely wrong because he's talking down New Zealand. If he is saying that we are at a low point and New Zealand's whole future will be low, then he is completely wrong, because one thing that this country needs is politicians and a government that back them to succeed, not tear them down with negativity.
Supplementary question.
It's the best question so far.
Is it a sign of economic recovery that 73,400 New Zealand citizens gave up and left the country in the past year, breaking all previous records?
Well, Mr Speaker, many New Zealanders choose support of order.
Point of order, the Honourable Shane Jones.
Sir, in the posing of supplementary questions, Speaker's rulings are quite clear. Supplementary questions are not to be like centipedes. They were beyond 2 legs to the extent I could follow the coherence of that question. Australia, blame, culpability. It's like a centipede.
Well, that's an interesting observation, but it's there shouldn't be those descriptors used, obviously, but if we followed to the letter of the law, the standing orders and what they might mean and what some people might interpret them as, none of us would say anything at all, any time. The question is, on supplementaries, that there should be only one leg answerable. If there are more than that, those questions, the Minister does not, in a question, the Minister doesn't have to answer them. We'll start again. You ask your question again.
Is it a sign of economic recovery when 73,400 New Zealand citizens gave up and left the country in the year to July 2025, breaking all previous records?
Mr. Speaker, we never like to see New Zealand citizens leaving the country. However, it is worth remembering that there is a time-honoured tradition of Kiwis leaving, enriching themselves and bringing back much knowledge and skill that enriches our country. It is also true that our country's population grew by a net 13,000 people last year, reflecting that there is strong demand to be part of the New Zealand success story that is growing under this government. Mr. Speaker, I believe that it's the policies of this government that are based on saving money, spending it carefully like New Zealanders are forced to, cutting red tape and regulation, and building our connections with the rest of the world, even as we build the infrastructure required for the next generation, will lead to a great success for this country and many, many more people, including our own citizens, choosing their long-term future in New Zealand.
Supplementary, the Honourable Chris Bishop.
Can the Prime Minister confirm that there are $7 billion of government-funded infrastructure projects that will be underway by Christmas? Precinct Property has just announced $1 billion spend in the next 10 years on apartments in Auckland, and Simplicity is building 600 new build-to-rent apartments in Queenstown, and that some members need to look on the bright side of life.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I can confirm both of those things. It is absolutely correct that there is a stupendous amount of capital investment coming down the pipeline for New Zealand's construction sector. And it is also true that sometimes just putting a smile on it can actually in itself improve the circumstances. And one of the things that people have struggled through this winter, through this recession, need is some positivity and some positive leadership, because actually things are getting better. What the opposition are offering is just simple depression.
Supplementary. So which
Just wait for that. Okay.
So which represents the government's position on those who have lost their jobs? That they shouldn't take it personally, or that they should just put a smile on it?
Mr. Speaker, I know that people following at home won't have this problem, but for the Labor leader's information, the person who could do with putting a smile on it is none other than himself.